Hi all, how are you doing today?
Evening, sir. Doing fine.
Yeah. True because me say me go be little late-ish. The rest of them decide to them now come class early.
Sir, it's not we, the teacher who will back on.
Which class you have?
HRM.
Oh, okay. All right. And just make sure you do very well with HRM because it's going to be a requirement for you're doing introduction to HRM. No, it's going to be a requirement for HRM come third year. All right. So we want to make sure that you have those prerequisites. So just make sure you do very well at it. All
Evening.
right. So, hey, how you doing, Papa? You good?
Yes, sir. Just came in class.
Nice, no
And what
problem.
what what you said, I miss what you said about
No,
HR.
no, no, I'm just saying that HRM is going to be the prerequisite for introduction to HRM is going to be the prerequisite for HRM. So for the bachelor's, you're going to have to do HRM as a supporting course. So I was just saying that make sure that you do well at it so that you have that prerequisite come year three.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, man. But I know you guys are bright people, so I know I don't have to worry too greatly about that. All right. I know it's early. And when I say early, I mean, and I'm going to start off at about 7:15, and we are at 7:15 now, and I would love to just have the conversation. I want to find out from you guys how is the reading going? Are you guys reading? Are you guys on top of things? We don't want anybody. We don't want lazy man like this to take us over. You know, are we on top of things? Yeah, no.
Somewhat, sir.
Just for the courses that you're doing, the HR and the geology. Which one Mr. Wally teaching you this semester?
EIA.
And there's another one that you're doing.
Sir, just
Work experience.
And the work experience, yeah. How are things going? You know, we are science people, you know, so we need to be on top of things. We can't make things surprise us. So I just want to make sure that we are where we're supposed to be, that we are doing the reading. Remember, what I'm presenting to you is information to whet your appetites, to give you the sort of oomph to go and to read. And I should tell you, I didn't send off the notes because guess what? I have a system that is very delicate, and I lost some information. So I have to regenerate that bits of information for you. So I sincerely apologize. I'm sure your other classmates when they come on in class and say, "Sorry, you never sent it." Yeah, no. I don't know what happened. The system just shut down on me, and everything that I have. Matter of fact, I'm trying to restart a program that I was using. Everything just gone. Just lost everything, and I was trying to finalize. Friday was the deadline for grade submission. I was checking the bachelor's, and I looked at some of yours, and I don't see the grades coming in yet. And I started calling around to my lecturers to find out how far they are with the grade submission. And by the time you look, it's 2 o'clock, and by the time you look, it was 5 o'clock, and by the time you look, trying to get myself sorted out. All right, so let me just get some housekeeping out of the way while the others come. So I have conference, not just me, but quite a number of us have conference starting tomorrow. And it ends on Wednesday. I know I have you on Wednesday, But based on how the Excelsior tradition is, I'm sure on Wednesday I'm still going to be in commute while we're having class. And I'm saying to myself, Lord, I can't be in commute and having class. I know I'm going to have challenges with the connectivity. So one of the things that I thought of doing was to give you guys a project. It's a project. Put you guys in groups of, I still don't know the true number of the class, you know. Is it 12? Is it 14? Anybody knows the true number of students in the class?
I think it's 15.
15 or 16?
15.
1-5?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I want to put you guys into groups tonight for you guys to do a little research. And the research is going to take the form that different groups will present, and the presentation is going to aim at teaching the other students. Now, let me tell you how that works. We did a lot of that in our own little study groups. And it's a strategy that I want you guys to somewhat employ. So say, for example, you have 4 areas to study. You have 4 areas to study. What would be good is, and say you have 8 people in a class. So 2 of you could study on one area. You research one area. And in researching one area, the other groups will research another area, so forth and so on. And then at some point in time, you are going to ensure that your group do a very good job of getting to the nooks and cranny of the area that you are researching and to present, because you will trust that the other group will do the same thing, so that when you come together to present, your classmates are presenting and you are learning from your classmates, and in a one shot you will have studied all 4 areas. Very important. When I say very important, very, very important. Now, so important it is that when you do your research, the paperwork from your research, you are going to be circulating in class. So eventually, everybody will have the same set of notes, right? It's a strategy that I love. It's a strategy that I employ at the upper level. We have a lot of debates and conversations at the upper level, and that's what we do, and we get through pretty quickly. And students, you know, will have debates in class on matters surrounding the areas. So we are going to be employing some of that approach in this course. And starting Wednesday, just like tonight when I thought I would have been late for class, I really wasn't. I don't know what Wednesday is going to work out. Let me just explain. And for the rest of students that will join a little late, I'm going to ask that you pass the information on. I may very well get back to Kingston from Montego Bay before 5 o'clock. It depends on what time conference ends. It depends on what time, the bus leaves out, so forth and so on. If that happens, I will most definitely have my class. But whether or not it happens, I will come in. And or I may very well be in commute. Whichever way, I'm going to be tuning in to the session. It's just that I don't want to do a whole lot of talking, because I know I'm going to be in a bus with a whole heap of people. And, I wouldn't want somebody to be teaching in the bus. I mean, I hear somebody teach. I mean, just want to have a fine, peaceful drive up back to Kingston. So I'm going to be doing this so that we don't lose the 2 hours, 1, and 2, it gives you an opportunity to prepare ahead of time, so it is that you can team teach. Very important. Is the assignment clear? I'm not going to give you what the assignment is, but do you understand what it is that I'm hoping to achieve? Anybody, somebody?
Yes, sir.
Great. Now, I know somebody's going to say, but sir, we don't have enough time. Lord Jesus, it's not going to be graded. right? It's not going to be graded. And who to tell? If when I come and say, sir, it's only me alone because nobody else not, I may very well turn it into a graded piece of work. All right? I know we're not like that though, because we're a science student. So when I put you in groups, just to get a sense of the group dynamics, I want you guys to meet outside of class. Okay, this is what we're going to look at. This is the information I find. All right, we're going to create a PowerPoint with this bit of information, or we're going to, however you want to do the presentation. But at the end of the presentation, you should be able to have something that you can send to the class. And I prefer seeing this over WhatsApp, so I know that it is done. And then we can talk about it. Then now I will come and just put the icing on the cake in terms of wrapping up that area. All right. So as I said before, you cannot survive in these earth science courses if it is that you don't have conversations with your classmates. Different people have different experiences. Maybe you have one or two of your classmates who are already working in the field that they may be able to come and give you something that is concrete. What do I mean by that? Sometimes, the textbook will say one thing, but in reality, this is what is being practiced, right? So, for example, the textbook will say, we need to recycle. All recycling saves the planet. All it protects both aquatic plant and aquatic animal life, and it does this, it does that. But what happens in reality? What happens in reality? In reality, we don't separate our waste. Do we recycle our waste? Do we and in so doing, we are protecting the environment? Do we or biomass? Do we seek to form a compost heap? Do we seek to, funny story. Let me just check to see. I'm actually waiting for the others to. Okay, so we are at 10. Funny story. I was in a conversation recently and I said, we have so many things that we're using that seemingly cause a lot of waste to the environment. And I go back to, I love coconut. So when I go to the market, I fill 2 5-gallon, not 5-gallon, I'm lying. The big bottle of water, is it 5-gallon? It's not 5-gallon. 5-gallon is a big ton. Is it the 1 gallon?
1 gallon, sir, 1 gallon.
Yeah, it's a 1 gallon. Yeah, the 5-gallon is a Catherine P. Don't.
Oh, you talk 1 liter?
Not 1 liter, man. It's a 1 gallon. It's a 1 gallon. The big bottle of water. The one that.
The one in the workplace.
Yeah. No, not in the workplace. The workplace one is a 5-gallon one. The big blue bottle is a 5-gallon. So the one that was selling, with the water with the little blue handle, something, that's a 1 gallon.
1 gallon.
Oh, yes, sir. I know what you're referring to.
Right. So when I go to the market, I fill 2 of those. So I buy 2 gallons of coconut water because I drink a lot of coconut water. I love coconut water. And I said to myself, and I'm saying this to you because it's not for me to hoard the information, it's for me to share the information. And I said to myself, but could the man them chop the coconut and then behind them just toss it over there so. And then when you look at it, you talk about hundreds, not even scores this time, because score is 20. So I can count by the hundreds now of these coconut that are there. Rain come with it, rain come fill it up, then mosquitoes start to breed in the stuff, then you have, and I was like, oh no, we must be able to find some things. And then I was doing some research. And then I said, but wait, they have coconut fibers. And you can go and you can, go through a process to get coconut fibers that you can weave in order to make fabrics. I said, but this is good. You can have recycled fabric that you can use now for upholstering, for argument's sake, that you can use for not only upholstering for your inside furniture, but your motor vehicle furniture, your boat furniture, your outdoor furniture, and you can also use for fabric to make clothing. And I said, but why we not do something like that? Because we have so much of this item that is just forming a bowl, heap, or a hump into the environment. And then I said to myself, but if I do that now, one thing leads into the other. Why? Because we are now going to be using a lot of electricity in order to go and extract the fibers from this coconut stuff. I said, Jesus, already fuel is so expensive. And then I said, but what about the sun? Could we convert the sun energy into energy that we can use to do this stuff? And then a whole lot of things just started, flooding my mind and flooding my thoughts. And I said to myself, well, think about it, Shand. Every aspect of the coconut can be used. All right, we drink the water, we eat the jelly, the husk. We can use the husk to make ornaments. We can use the husk to make jewelry. We can use the husk to burn as charcoal, for we're roasting or doing our barbecue, whatever it is. And then the bark we can go ahead and use for make fabric. But the whole nut itself can be used. And then I thought to myself, all right, and don't call me weird, this is where I want you guys to be going. And then I passed the tire shop and I said, but could I know, Jesus? Look how much old tire the man them have sit down on the place. Then they're going to throw the old tire. Then water going to catch up in the old tire. And then the same thing like the coconut is the same thing with the tire. I said, but why not for us to come together as a group for argument's sake? De-wire these tires. Because of course, the tires come with wires. De-wire the tires. Can we create a machine that we can crush these tires and we can bleach them, and then we can go to primary schools and prep schools and sell them as fillers for, like we have sand boxes. We don't have to go and mine the sand now. You remember the question that you post in the group? Oh goodness, Michael?
Yes, I remember.
All right, what was the question?
Land
subsistence.
Subsistence, yeah.
Part of the problem, and this thought came based on the question that you asked, Mikey. The land subsistence is because everybody have use for sand. So schools now are digging for sand so that they can build sand pits. The J3As are going to get sand so they can put in the sand pit at the National Stadium. All these other schools that have track and field events are digging sand to go and do the stuff. So we are actually contributing to land subsistence. We may not believe because mining does that. All right? And I'm saying to myself, but we could have all these tires and we could bleach these tires, we could color code the tires, we could do whatever it is. So it is that we could have them in land pits so children can play with them. These mats that they use as counting stuff and, play hopscotch or even to create, different surfaces, like a carpet for students. I'm saying to you, there are so many things that we can do, that we can reuse some of these materials in the environment so the place becomes a safer place. Now, the final thing before... Go ahead.
The coconut husk.
Uh-huh.
There's a research currently right now where they are using it as 20% animal feed.
Absolutely. Oh, so you're a fly on the wall, Mikey. You were a fly on the wall, because on Sunday, when we're taking a little drive out, I was saying to them, and this is an area that is very close to me. Why? Because I also teach it in another area. You see where the guys say, like for example, Burger King. Let me use something that is close to us. Burger King. So Burger King buys a lot of tomatoes. True or false? No?
True,
you don't
true.
lettuce and cabbage and yaman to make them sandwich and Pizza Hut and all of them places there. Yeah. All right. So when, say for example, Burger King buys 200 pounds of lettuce, and some people call it lettuce, right? And they buy the 200 pounds into, say, 4 bags. The 200 pounds come up in 4 bags, 4 big crocus bag. All right. Now, when the workers are prepping the crocus bag, they are taking off the old flesh, the dead one, worm eat a piece, and cut it out, and so forth and so on, until them get what we call the edible form. So they have the edible form versus the waste. So I was saying to somebody, one of my passengers, that what they do is that the edible form, of course, is used to make sandwiches and cook food for everybody. The waste is what they normally just toss out. But guess what? They recognize that the pig farmers are coming to get this waste, and the man sit down, Mikey sit down and say, hold on there. But every time he put out this for the garbage truck, me see Mr. Shan come with film truck and I take away something. It is good for me because I'm a business, I have to pay the garbage truck man money to clear my waste because I'm a company. But guess what now? Me going to Mikey one day and says, me I watch you for the last 2 months. I come take up that, you know. Yes, boss, you know, say, I have a little pig farm down there, and we just feed the pigs and the goat, them and the cow, you know. And then, you know what Shan say? Well, guess what? He say, as of now, you have to go pay me money for it, you know. And I'm saying to myself, think about it. You normally throw it out. Why is it that the man can't get it, Jim can go do something? But Shan is now saying, this is now another means of income for me. So I am now selling my waste. So I say, here's the plan. Give me $5,000 and me can give the bag. Or give me a goat. Because you may want to, you know, Christmas, do a little curry goat for your whole staff. Give me a goat. Go and rear the goat for me, and I will provide the bags of waste for you to feed them for 12 months. Or give me a cow, or whatever the situation, but you're bartering. The point I'm making is, yes, you're recycling your waste, and especially these rabbit farmers too, all right? You're recycling your waste, but where it is that you used to throw it out, you're no longer throwing it out because you recognize that you can get a little bit of money on it. We can have a debate to see whether or not it is ethical for us to collect money when it is that we were trained out all along, but we recognize that somebody else is trying to make it, or we can argue for it that no, the company can maximize their profit by selling the waste. I am indifferent because if you were throwing it out before, until you saw that somebody is really coming to take the stuff, you know, it's neither here nor there to me, but somebody may say, but sir, no, we have to pay for it. And the final thing I'll say on it is that, okay, fine, if you're saying to me that you have to pay for it, what Burger King does, the edible portion is what it is that they're using versus their weight. What they do now is they recalculate. You notice KFC price has gone up and Burger King price gone up because what they do, they recalculate the cost. So if they paid $100 for the bag of lettuce, for argument's sake, and of the 100 pounds, they would have lost 20 pounds in waste. You see that 80 pounds is recalculated. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Yes, I agree with you, Mikey. It is recalculated so that they don't lose at all, right? So I'm saying to you, what it is that we are doing here, we can find a niche in the whole, as Mikey said, the whole environmental management system that we can go and have a business idea. Don't become like a teacher who's sitting and working for somebody and teaching these courses. Yes, you will need somebody to do that. But what I should be doing, I should own my own business, and then Accessor comes and contracts me to come and teach a course in geology. But while I'm teaching, my business is making money for me, right? I'm training you guys so that you can have some ideas. So when you get out there, you know exactly what it is that I want to do. Asia, are you going to find these coconut husks to make ornaments because you are fashionable and you want to make, and you're going to go up, and then the wires that you take from the tire, you're going to recycle those wires to use as ornaments. What is it? What can we do? How can we go ahead and maximize to save the environment, right? So these are some of the things that I really want you guys to be looking at. Yes, yes, go ahead, please.
Sir, this is the same tire situation.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of years ago, you know, a couple of us were thinking, we were saying that if you grind the tires, you will lose some of the wires in it. So we're saying, if you can find a way to melt it safely, you don't give off a lot of fumes, and then you collect the wires on top while the rubber is below, and then you find some way to cure the rubber so that it's safe to reintroduce in the environment, like the sand that you said are pavement for playground.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. But guess what happened now? You don't even have to melt it now, because once you talk about melting, so we have to look at the hazard. We have to look at the environmental hazard to that. So once it is that you start melting rubber, you're going to start talking about now. The environmental hazard. the emission of these pollutants. And when you move to the upper level, you'll hear more about that. The pollutants in the atmosphere that will cause, like sulfur dioxide coming off, serious component of acid rain. You're talking about the carbon that comes off, serious component of acid rain. So you wouldn't want it, you wouldn't want to be saving the environment one way, but you are degrading the environment in another way. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. All right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. So you have other ways, Mikey, where it is that you can use like a caliper, pliers looking sort of thing, and you can rotate the wires and you can actually pinch the wires at certain places, because you can know where the wires are. You can know where the wires are, and of course, when you grind these, you can actually remove the wires from it. So there are ways you can do it. There are ways. Land subsidence, again, Mikey, can also be caused from, you know, one of the things that I was fortunate to have experienced. In the United States, they have landfills. And these landfills, I tell you, I don't like them, but I love them. That's a paradox of it, because they take the environment very seriously. So their landfill is not like where we just go to the town, we just dump everything. Their landfill, you have a central point where you dump your stuff, and you can't just dump everything. You have so if you go to the dump and you have household waste versus kitchen waste versus that, you have to dump according to the waste that you have. And then it is sent to different sections of the land. You see, when one section is filled up, then they spray liquid grass and it stays there and it stays there and it stays there. You see, when that land area, that landfill is now filled, somebody has to guess what it is used for. Anybody?
Repeat the question. Repeat the last part of the question.
I'm saying when the landfill is full, what do you think they use that area for?
Green area.
Green area, parks,
Yeah.
Walk area. Yeah, man. So that's why the United States have so many parks. So they put in a little slide, they put in a little swing, they put in a little walk trail so people can go and exercise. They put in a little this, and that is your landfill. And after a number of years, where it is now that, you know, things start to, so to speak, fossilize and everything of the sort, then those areas now become for housing development. All right? So they compact the land for housing development. We don't have that sort of thing here in Jamaica. We don't. So, you know, it's an area where it is that we don't have to seek employment. And I did say final, you know, what about us coming together? Members of the class say, here the plan. Let us come together and we're going to formalize a business. We're going to start out and say what it looks like, how it looks. You know, in some countries, they actually make slippers from these tires because they don't have shoes. I mean, shoes is so expensive. They are so, quote unquote, poor that they use tires to make slippers. And these slippers are given to us because, believe it or not, you have people in this part, in other parts of the world, still walking up and down without shoes. All right. So think about it. It's an area where we have to see how best we can application. How best we can try and save the environment. We have to look at ways in which we can try and save the environment. All right. So the last time around, are there any questions, by the way?
Not from me so far, sir.
All right. And but whatever I'm saying, does it make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. Trust me, it makes a whole lot of sense. I had vexation of the spirit could be about a year ago. No, it's not a year ago. Yeah, almost a year ago, about 9 months ago. I decided that I was going to just drive up to Hellshire. Don't ask me why. But drove up to Hellshire. And when I went, quote unquote, to the beach, I didn't even do as much as to wet my feet. in the water. I sat down on the sand on the shore, well, what is left of it, that is, and I was just fuming. I vex. The higglers come, fish, big boss, fish. I said, I'm not buying anything from Ono. Do you believe I sat down and used my 4 pairs of eyes?
So you wear glasses?
Yeah, man, and I wipe the glasses I wear. And I said to myself, and I saw where the man got in the fish, the same beach of people are swimming now. The fisherman got the fish and threw the guttings into the water. The same place the people that must swim. This is not make up story. This is what I saw with my eyes. And people are swimming on it, and then you have the birds coming to get what it is that they can get to eat, and then they have the flies, and then when you look at it, because they have built up, the landscape is so different because they built up now. They use they move the sand, land subsistence. All of this came to mind when you asked the question, Mikey. And somebody went into the water and I looked at them and said, Jesus, it's deep. Yes, it has to be deep because there's no gradation now of the shoreline, because everything is now deep because the man then removed the sand. And I'm saying to myself, where is NEPA in all of this? Where is the government in all of this? Why is it that we wait until it has reached to this stage when it is that it almost becomes irreparable? Is it for me now? If I was head of NEPA, it's all of those monstrosities were then built up, they would have been torn down. People going vex, and people going say they make an investment, but show me what permission we get from the government. And then somebody going say, but sir, why did the government wait until they build up the structure before they make it down? Point taken. That has always been my concern. Why we wait? Why we don't nip it in the bud before it gets out of hand? If we don't take care of the environment, trust me, you and I, a couple of years later, will not be able to live. All right. So we spoke about time the last meeting session, and I just want to project to you, and I'm going to send this off to you. Oh, for those of you who just joined, my system shut down and I lost my information, so I please don't rush me. I'm going to get it back so it is that I can circulate it, which is why I didn't circulate it over the weekend. My system is very old and it just shut down on me, and I didn't save it because I was doing it at the same time, and it just went. But I'll get it for you, including what it is that I have here. All right, so the Geological Association here has a geologic time scale, and we spoke about time the last time around, and there are different periods that we're looking at. And you may say, well, sir, I don't have a clue. I don't know if this is coming off very clearly. But we have the Triassic, the Jurassic, and the Cretaceous period, right? And if you look here at the epoch right here, talk about late, talk about early, talk about late, middle, early, talk about late, middle, early. And in the Cretaceous here, we talk about different age, right? And of course, you can look at a different, picture of what's in here. I'm not taking ownership of this. This is something that I've taken from the internet, and this is something that has been around. This is something that I used when I was studying. Matter of fact, confession, mine wasn't so colorful. Mine was black and white. All right. So now you have a color code, something that it makes it nice to look at. And you have the Paleocene. We talk about the Paleocene age, you have the Paleocene, the Ecocene, the Oligocene, the Miocene. So you look at all of these time span. You look at the epoch, you look at the period, look at the age, and you look at how many million years ago we can talk about, right? Now, in the time of dinosaurs, you can actually look at different periods to see, all right, some 165 million years ago. You can look at the time frame here in this column in millions of years. Remember, M is million of years, and GA is, anybody remember what GA is? Somebody say billion.
Billions.
Yeah, man, billions, right. it gives you the period, it gives you the epoch, it gives you the age, it gives you the number of years. All right, so you can look to see if you find something based on what I got, the calculation that I gave you. You can actually look at the age here to say, oh, it was the Oxfordian within the time, and the Oxfordian period was the late. Here,
So breaking up.
oh Lord, hold on. Let's see if it's the same last time around. Yep, it's the same. Am I back with you now?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Sorry about that. I was using the data instead of my Wi-Fi. Thanks for bringing that up. Am I coming across much clearer now?
Yes, sir.
All right, good. You know, there are times it just switches to whichever one is strongest. So I just set it now for the Wi-Fi. Right. So you can look at the you know, in the Cretaceous, if your time frame comes here, you can say, oh, this was in the Albian stage. Okay. Let me give you an example. All right. So sometimes you go to the medical doctor, and this happens really if, you know, you have a child of your own, or, you know, you know someone who's just born. Let me tell you how the medical doctors do their stuff. They have the normal growth curve of an infant. And what they do is to take the weight of the child, of the infant, take the height of the infant, the age, and there are some other things that they take of the infant, and they look at it and they map it. They plot it along the normal growth curve. And they will say to you, oh, miss, your baby is growing normally. Continue what it is that you're doing. Now, when they do all this stuff and plot it on a curve, and it does not sit exactly on the curve, and say, wow, your baby is a little bit obese, so we now need to reduce giving 3 bottles of feeding to now 2 bottles, 1.5, and if needs be, you don't pass 2 bottles. So the normal growth curve is what the doctors use to test the and to indicate the good health of your child. And I'm going to come back to that growth curve in today's class, because there's something else I'm going to be talking about. Now, if you look at it here, this is exactly what is happening. So you have the Cenozoic, the Mesozoic, and all of these time frames. And if it is that we are going to be looking at it, it's just like what it is that the doctors would do. They are going to be looking at the time here, and you may not get something like this on an exam paper. But if I'm looking at time as an issue in geology, I will have to show you what a time scale looks like. All right? And you notice now I am putting both time and scale together. Remember what I sent off to you earlier. Time was one issue. Scale was another issue. But now I'm merging both of them together and calling it now time scale, because one does not occur without the other. All right? So I want you to look at what is happening here with the geologic time scale. It becomes an issue because somebody may say, and I can't see this, so 1 or 4, but this one is saying something like 1163. It may be in the Miocene year. And then somebody may say, but sir, how can we get 1163? Somebody may say, but sir, we are living in the Cretaceous time now, based on what it is that you'd have done. So what you can do is do the calculation, as I showed you, that I need to send off to you. And then you can have a look at it and say, oh, but this would have been the time, based on my birth, would have been the time that geologically that I'd been living in. All right? And you can just look at it to have an idea. You know, the movie Jurassic Park. Anybody hear about Jurassic Park?
Yeah, man, sir.
Yes, sir. Yeah, man.
Is you know, a lot of things that happen in life is not because out of just a witch hat they get it to know. You see, the time frame that they were talking about in the movie would have been, the epoch here would have been this time period that they're talking about. So it was in the Jurassic era. So that's why it's called Jurassic Park. All right. And then within the Jurassic, you can have a lot of these other things emerging, right? So just look at it and see, and we can have a conversation, a more in-depth conversation about it. But as I said before, there's no way I could be talking about time without showing what a geologic time scale looks like. Very important. You will be able to need to look at it, need to know how to read it. It's not difficult. As I said before, you have your period, and I'm going to be using the Jurassic, and the Cretaceous period, the Triassic rather, Jurassic and the Cretaceous period. You have your periods here, all right? And then you also have your epoch. You have late, middle, you have late and early in some cases, and then it tells you what age it is, and it gives you the year, all right? Just have a look at that. All right, so there was something else that in my own reading, I came across that I said to myself, I need to share this with the class. And this here is the geologic time scale. And there's something in particular that drags my memory. I'm going to send you this document so it is that you can go ahead and read on your own. And as I said before, you have to be reading, but I'm just going to be highlighting some very important points. Now, it says in climate change studies, many reference are made to the geologic record or geologic time. It says the geologic time scale is an internationally developed and agreed scheme of subdividing the passage of time since the origin of Earth. The time scale is universally used among geologists, paleontologists, and other natural scientists who deal with the Earth history and the Earth antiquity issues. Now, it talks about the original structure of the geologic time scale was developed during the 19th and the 20th centuries, mainly as a result of studies of the stratigraphy, which is the Earth's layout of the rock structure. The final details of the geologic time scale continues to evolve today. Believe it or not, it continues to evolve, and which is why it's an issue, because up to today, it is evolving. Listen to why that is so. At first, the geologic time scale was a relative time scale, which means that the absolute age of various intervals within the time scale were not known. With the advent of radiometric age dating techniques, this is what caught my attention. With the advent of radiometric aging techniques, the ages of boundaries of these intervals become more established in more instances of modern geologic time, became essentially an absolute time scale. Ages of boundaries between subdivisions are usually given in millions of years, abbreviated MA before present. Now, why I found that aspect a little bit interesting is that we may find that terracotta, archaeologists may find a terracotta pot, which is really just a clay pot, and they may say, oh, this is antique. And then a geologist may say, oh, I can find the date of this pot. And then somebody is just looking and said, date? How you can date this? You're not even born when this pot was created. This is what they're using, radiometric dating, right? So when they use the radiometric dating, it is a more precise dating of artifacts that they can say, you know, this here is 120 years old. Right? So sometimes they're selling these artifacts as antique, but is it really antique, or they are using technology to make it appear antique, or is it antique by nature? Radiometric dating is one of those areas where something is fossilized. You may find a rare fossil, and you want to date that fossil. Radiometric dating is where it is that you go, and once it is that you find the age of it, then you can go ahead and do the calculation as we did last time to say, aha, this is where the it was in this era that this fossil was alive. And you can go back and you look at the date and you can say, oh, it happened in the late Cretaceous period. So within this period, this is a fossil that existed at that particular time. Am I making any sense right there? I'm not hearing you.
So the radiological date, time date will be linked to the magnetic field that the rocks would give off?
Absolutely. At different periods, yeah. Yeah, man. At different periods. So, a couple of years ago, long before we had Highway 2000, it was reported, you don't believe me, you can Google it, it was reported that this man was coming down Mount Russell, and he saw somebody that he knew, and they found him down, and he decided to give them a lift down, maybe down to Euroton, which is at the foot of the hill. And somewhere along the journey, they decided that they're going to rob the man, and they decided that here's the plan, because he know one of the two of us, if we rob him, we have to go kill him, because he might go identify and say, boy, it's John Brown, maybe give the lift and it's John Brown do it. So what they did, unfortunately, they gagged him and threw him over the precipice. Now, the precipice contains caustic soda, which is very corrosive. Now, caustic soda, it reacts with the oil on your skin, and this is what they use to make soap. And if any of you have had a bath with Dove, say, oh, we can't wash off, true or false?
True.
Yes, sir. True.
Yeah, man, I don't like that. Yes, man, because you wash off and you still feel soapy, all right? But people say that it's good because it retains some of the oil in your skin. Now, if you bathe with Irish Spring, you're crisp.
You're dry.
You're dry. Yeah, man, if you're in a mine shop and you bend down, you break, how crisp you are. Now, one of the main ingredients is sodium hydroxide. Now, caustic soda contains a lot of sodium hydroxide. And what the guys did, dumped the man there. So think about it. Every flesh on the man was dissolved. So all that was left was a skeleton, bones. And they gagged him with wire, barbed wire, I think it was, but with wire. And when people, they started talking, and people said, no, man, we see a trail right here. So they checked us up and did their investigation. They found the man's skeleton remains. And the man was of, good report, wealthy, and they did some radiometric dating, and they were able to tell you exactly when the person died. So the radiometric dating is something that is being used and used heavily to this very day. As I said before, where and how it is that they are able to date some artifacts is by using radiometric dating, doing the calculation, and comparing it to different time zones, the eras, so they can say, oh, it was within this particular period that the person lived, etc., right? So it is, as I said before, biology, chemistry, physics is very related to our field here in environmental studies, and in particular in geology. All right, so it's very, very important. All right, so so they use a lot of mass spectrometers, which is a chemistry terminology, in order to also get the dates of different stuff. It says here, mass spectrometer is a device that allows the determination of elements and compounds in a sample. So what happens is that they use a lot of half-lives, and those of you who did physics will recognize what half-lives are. They use a lot of half-lives, and they compare the half-lives, similar to what they do with the geological time scale. They compare the half-lives and say, okay, this half-life is representing 20 years ago, this other half-life is representing 15 years ago, the other half-life is that. So what they do, when the mass spectrometers project the half-life graphs of the samples that are taken, they are then compared to many hundreds of thousands of half-lives within the system, and it comes back to something that is more specific. What it does, it is a device that allows the determination of the elements and compounds in a given sample. And this became available in the 1950s. All right. So when you hear me say to this very day, they are still improving on the time frame, it is because of this new technology in radiometric dating using mass spectrometers to get different elements that are coming off. Inside of us, we have carbon-14 that is denigrating, is degrading every day that we live. So you and I are living beings now. Our carbon-14 content in our body is passing out. So when we die, it tells us how much carbon-14 we would have used up, what is left, and so it is that it can give us the carbon rating, right, from the radiometric dating of our bodies, and it can tell you how long we have lived. Real something. All right. So it says before that time, inferences were made by comparing the rock record from different parts of the world and estimating how long it will take for natural processes to create formation. We had to estimate this. This had to be estimated. Now, since 1950, we are able to use radiometric dating in order to get or more accurate form of what is happening. So, in a nutshell, that's what time is, and it looks at the historic background of the scientific foundation. It is where we are now compared from where we are coming from. All right, very important. Let me stop and ask. Are there any questions?
Sir, what's the steps to do the
radiometric dating? Good question. I don't want to get into the heavy chemistry of it, but I can provide it. But I don't want to get into the whole heavy chemistry, but I can provide it for you guys. It's a lot of heavy chemistry in terms of taking sample and putting it into a furnace or a kiln, and you're going to, it measures the mass spectrometer in it, measures the carbon-14, the isotope that comes off from it, and that measurement is what they are going to be using from the sample graphs built into this mass spectrometer that will give you the dates as you go along. Here is something right here. Talk about radiometric age. The age of an object is determined by the level of certain radioactive substances in its substance. All right, and more often than not, this is a carbon-14, which is radioactive. The radioactive substances break down into other substances, some radioactive and some are not, over time in a regular way. Measurements of their relative quantities can allow for estimates of an object's age, rock, wood, anything you talk about, human bodies, etc., etc. Many techniques for determining radiometric age are used in the field of radiometric dating, and that's a serious thing. So, as I said before, I talk about rock and piece of wood and so forth. As I said before, when something fossilizes and you really want to find the age of the stuff, you do radiometric dating to say that here the plan. This piece of log was way before time, because you're using your radiometric dating, and you can use it for terracotta pots, which are your clay pots. You can use it for so many objects. You find a corpse in the field, like one of those mummies, and you say, "Whoa, look at this!" As an archaeologist, when you come across these things and you want to date it, you want to give a time to it, you're going to say, "Oh my goodness!" And you go ahead and perform some radiometric dating. Trust me, your burst, your ratings gone right up, because people are going to say, "Wow, look at this magic find," right? So I can outline it. As I said before, it's not a part of your stuff, but we can outline what radiometric dating is, so it is that you can have a greater appreciation of what it is. And we use that a lot to speak about the different time frame in our geology. So as I said before, so the time and the scale. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
You said something about the carbon-14.
Yes.
Was related to human bones.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
So you're saying that they can use that to identify how long a person has lived?
Yes, miss. Is it that you disbelieve it, or it is that it
No, sir, I just wanted to
just wow you? Which is it? Say it again. Oh, it's to clarify.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. It is, and which is why I'm saying to you that you can move into one of the areas that you can move into is forensic geology, because you, for example, go and find a well, and anybody remember this elderly taxi man who was thrown into an empty well, and he was there for many days, about, I think that's 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, right. Now I'm almost sure the report says that when they fished him from the well, they found other remains there, suggesting that this was a place for them to just discard of bodies. Now you can actually use it to date, and of course you can use, if it is that the body is preserved, not the body but the skeleton is preserved, and the person has dental record, and you suspect that somebody was missing one about this particular time, you can actually use your dental record now to say yes, this is the person, because guess what, at number 32 the person had a crown. At number 16, yes, we did this procedure. This person had a root canal at number 16, right? And this is just the numbering of your teeth in your mouth. So there is a universal standard for numbering your teeth from 1 right down to 32. All right? And they can say, the dental records can show that, and if everything lines up, I can positively identify. I don't know if you watch these movies in the States, or these reality shows, 48 hours and
Yes, sir.
yeah, man, and then tell you, say, it's going to the lab, it's going for the dental work, and yes, it comes back as being positive. Yeah, man, and then something there happen. So it can only come back positive if the person has a dental record, right? So if the person has a dental record, and as I said before, the United States has some very good things, because if it is built in, then it is that he can say, yes, positively, this person is going to be identified as John Brown. So John Doe is no longer John Doe. John Doe is now Mary Jane, because the person is positively identified as Mary Jane, right? So the time scale can span a whole host of stuff. The time scale can be, you go into the field and you find a nice fossil and you want to date it. This is what they do, and they use a geological time scale to date it. You want to date skeletal remains, you can go ahead and use a carbon-14. Not only skeletal remains, if you want to go and date a tree that has been fossilized, the trunk of a tree that has been fossilized, to know how long ago this tree was there, you can go ahead and you do your radiometric dating, and it gives you that sort of time span, and you can say, you know what, that tree I did there before time, yeah, man, 100 years ago, this tree was planted by the rivers of water that brought fruit in its season, and then it just drop out, right? So it's very important. And of course, these miners, you have to give them credit, I mean, as I said before, I can tell you how it is that I will not die. But you have these people who will go down and become miners. They're actually digging beneath the surface of the earth in order to find these artifacts, in order to get fossil fuels, etc., etc. By the way, quick question. Anybody will become one of those miners? Fossil miners?
Can you repeat the question?
Fossil and not coal, yes, I would actually do the fossil one.
You do the fossil one. Okay, so what's the difference between the fossil and the coal, Papa?
Well, the coal, you normally hear of those collapsing because it's more unstable.
Mm-hmm. But
While,
so okay, go ahead. But why what?
oh, sorry, I've muted myself. Yeah, while with the fossil, you're just removing enough material to remove the fossil itself. So you're not disturbing the entire area.
That's what you thought.
Yep.
Give me 1 minute, please, guys.
Sir, we're not hearing you.
You say give him 1 minute.
Oh.
All right. Sorry. So tell me again. So you say, what's the difference between the coal mining and the fossil mining? Because one, you have to. Go ahead again. Let me hear the distinction.
All right, sir. So one is more hazardous. The coal mining. Normally it's those small opening that you have to go into, and it's unstable for the most part. While with the fossils, you tend to just remove just enough to remove the fossil itself.
All right, stick up in right. Stick up in right there, Mikey. I agree with you 100%. You know, but what if you find you notice how these guys operate? They see the stuff, they have their brush, they're brushing away the dirt. They have to be very intricate in it, you know. But guess what? It just takes one removal of a piece of pebble that can therefore make that whole section unstable, and also can have a collapse. So I'm saying to you, one may be more susceptible, but both of them are very dangerous.
Sir, I think the fossil mining is more interesting.
And to each his own. The fossil mining is very interesting, and somebody may say, then you'll go to school, go spend your whole life finding fossils. It is a very interesting area. I see the point that Michael is also making, because the fossil mining, the coal mining, you talk about the respiratory problems, because you are inhaling all of this carbon dust that, you know, at some point in time, or is a carcinogen, is cancer causing. And, you know, people do this. And the funny thing about it, Mikey, is that the ones who normally become these miners are people who are of a certain educational background, you know, coming from poorer countries who, you know, why they do anything so that their families can have a food to eat, even if it means at the expense of my going, but at least I know, say, my family is going to be taken care of. It's very risky. I mean, I know I won't be doing it. I'm going to find something else to do. Similar, if you're going to be doing the deep sea drilling program, where it is that you're going to be out at sea and drilling, and you know, things can happen when you drill. The barge can go, and you're there, and you know, one of those monster creatures, you know, a whale or something is there waiting to say, hey, how are you doing? Been waiting for you for quite a while. So, you know, though interesting and though yields a lot of financial benefits, one of the richest countries right now, and people really well, I guess people now know, is Russia, because they provide quite a bit of oil globally, right? Which is why oil prices are going up, because they are holding their oils, right? You talk about grains from Ukraine. people don't recognize that more than 50% of the grains that we consume is out of Ukraine. Grains can also be used to make fuel. So Ukraine is also part of the fuel-making countries. So when you combine Ukraine and Russia, you're talking about a good portion of what is happening. The United States of America had to go into their oil reserve in order to introduce oil to the market, so it is that they can bring down the price. But the United States of America are comparing and complaining about the $5 that they have to pay roughly for the oil. All right. So if you look at
you and Mr. Walder have two complete different view.
Okay,
I like your view more than Mr. Walder's view.
What Mr. Walder says. Let me hear what him say. Interesting. We all sometimes we get into most times we disagree on some of these things, but let me hear what he has to say on this one.
Sir, he was basically saying that the prices of oil will fall because Venezuela have the largest reserve. But I was saying to him that socialist countries are going to back a socialist country.
Oh, absolutely.
So no matter what, Venezuela will not give in to the United States wanting to come
absolutely
in and develop the oil industry. They
absolutely
will pull off until Russia ready.
Absolutely.
So I like your view. That is what is happening now. I told him to us. Give it to us and he will see.
That's exactly what is happening now. So what has happened is that the United States is now going to Caracas to see what can happen. But Jamaica did cost them. So we can't go to them now to get oil from them per se, because we joined the West, which is the United States and then places there to get away from Venezuela, right? But it is what it is. It is what it is. And the truth of the matter is, if Venezuela is joining alliance with Russia, how it is that we can escape it? And at some point in time, remember it's a reserve, so it is not being replenished. So at some point in time, it is going to get worse. If there is no ending this war, very soon, it is going to get worse. If you look at it, you recognize that there was a shortage of baby formula the other day, baby feeding the other day.
Yes, sir. Bad.
Terribly, to the point where they were using substitutes, and the substitutes were too harsh, and infants were being killed. You understand why? What is happening there? The grains coming from Ukraine wasn't there anymore. So what is happening now is that some of the ingredients are missing. So it's just like KFC, for argument's sake. Nobody knows the true recipe for KFC seasoning because they are made in different parts, and no one part knows what goes into the other part. And then now it comes in different batches, and when it is known that you are a franchisee, you will know that you put in one part of this to two parts of that to one part of that to get the final product. And guess what? Some countries don't get it right, because I've eaten KFC in other countries that don't taste like the KFC in Jamaica. And that's why you have people who are I'm on flights and people have them KFC bag of chicken that carry to foreign, right? Because they will come back and say, no, the KFC in London does not taste like KFC here in Jamaica. Jamaica is them say down to the bone season. You understand? So this is exactly what is happening. So them have them formulation. So if you have 10 different ingredients and one of the ingredients is missing, you cannot do your product. And this is what they're and a lot of people recognize, but some really don't recognize the severity of what is happening there. It's a serious case, and it is going to get worse. It is going to get worse. And we here in Jamaica, we don't, we only get in the tip of it, we don't feed it fully yet, we don't feed it fully. So this is a more simplified, version of something. And I mean, there are many things out there, right? But I like the comparison that they were making right here. So you have the first dinosaur, first mammals, flying reptiles. You know, you're talking about 201 million years ago, and that is in the Triassic. You remember I said to you that the movie, the Jurassic Park, don't you see what they got them big, okay, something they're flying around? Talk truth. Ouch.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, man, see it here? It is in the Jurassic period. So you have dinosaur diverse and abundant early flowering plants. Yet we have a mass extinction of these dinosaurs, first mammals, flying reptiles, right? So this is the era that they look at and they say, okay, fine. The geologists come and say, all right, this is what is going to happen. You know, this is the stuff, right? You know, people are saying that we're in the Quaternary period, and you know, this is what is happening 0.01 million years ago. And as I said before, based on your calculations, you can see what is happening. As you go down, these are the Pre-Cambrian is 4,600 years ago. You're going to have all of them oldest known earth rocks. You know, in these period, you're going to have the primitive fish, the trigolite, the rise of the corals, the first amphibians, shark abundance, first reptiles. So, you know, these are much older than the period that we are. Go ahead, sir.
All right. The time scale that you have now on your screen, is this something that we should go back to as a reference, or is it something that we should know?
It's as a reference for you to have, because I mean, so you know. All right, look at that. Are we having ice age glaciation, glacial outburst floods? No. Yes. No.
Yes. From the polar cap.
Absolutely. From the polar ice caps. Absolutely. So this is what I'm saying to you. So we are living in the Quaternary age, Quaternary period, right? So we have the extinction of large birds, mama. We don't have the large birds of up and down again, right? So this is a life from the North American events. These are things that are happening. Cascade volcanoes, link of North and South America, right? We have all of these things that are happening now. This is 0.01 million years. So you can use this as some reference point. Remember, this is going to be a reference point for as I said before, if you are you know, you find a fossil for argument's sake and you want to date it back to a particular period, you can look back at it based on the calculation of the years that you get. And remember, I showed you how to calculate million of years. Just give you an idea of how to calculate million of years. When you go back and say that, you know, this was this, you can say, boy, it came out to be 48. And you can say, blow, 48. They have a 33.9 and then a 56. That means 48 falls somewhere between in the Eocene period. But the Eocene is going to be in the Cenozoic era, which is going to be the Tertiary, the Pleistocene. And the Pleistocene is going to be this period here, because this is where the time frame falls in. So yes, Rodriguez, you can use this as a time frame, and then you can look to see what was happening in this period. Remember, I showed you, and that's the information that got lost. Remember, I showed you pictures of what happened based on your billion years of calculation that you did, events that occur, right? So you can use that as time frame to say that this is what was happening, right? So one may say, you know, within the quaternary period, which of these two we are in now, right? But for sure, we are definitely not in the Cambrian period here, because I mean, you know, we're not having all of these stuff here taking place, right? We may have one or two of these things now, because really and truly, I can't tell you if we have. By the way, anybody believe in mermaids? Anybody believe that we have mermaids living?
No.
I don't. Well, sir, I'm not sure. I
You're
just
not
think that anything that is
with
on
no
land
evidence.
is basically on sea. So
Say that again, not real face.
say again, sir.
Say it again. Anything that is not where?
No, I'm saying I just know that anything that's on land is basically in the sea as well, like a replica of what's on land.
Okay. So then I hear people talking about, I'm seeing on social media people saying that, oh, a mermaid was found in West Africa. I am not one who's going to say, oh, it's foolishness, because there are some creatures, serious creatures that are out there. I can't tell you. I don't know. I can't tell you. A little later on, when you move up to the upper level, we'll talk about the formation of these, that the barnacles, for argument's sake, you have from the acid rain, you can have a dissolve of carbon dioxide, precipitating, the carbonates precipitating out in seawater, right? So you have a heavy carbonates precipitating out in seawater, and this forms the basis of your crabs, having those hard shell, and your conch having those hard shells, because it is the precipitates of these carbonates that take place in seawater, right? That happens. There are some areas in the sea that it is heavily carbonized. Absolutely, I can do that. What I plan to do, Marshall, is I plan to do up the formula on the sheet and send out the formula, but my system shut down and I lost all that information. And it was a busy weekend for me this weekend. I was trying to get off the grades and calling around to my lecturers so that I can get your grades to be posted on the Arion so that we can get your grades. So it was I really apologize for that. So I am going to be sending just the formulation, and I'm going to also give you a link. Yeah, man. The sheet will be better. Absolutely. So what I plan to do is extract it, put the formulation on the sheet so you can see what it is. So you have the formula, and then I'm going to give you a link, a hyperlink that you can click on, so it is that you can look at what it is that I've shown you, how, what to find out what happened in that particular period. Just have an idea what happened in that particular period, so you can have a look at it. And I'll also send you this time scale, so it is that you can look to see, make connections, because if you understand what is happening here, or having an idea of what is happening here, it makes a greater appreciation of what is happening, right? So coming back to these, the precipitates of these carbonates. So there are, let me answer, do you believe that a fish can drown?
No, sir.
Okay.
Drown? No.
Sir, fish make for that, so I don't understand how the man
Sir,
okay, tell me why them can drown, Mikey.
Sir, if remember, if the gills work where the water passes through and it collects the oxygen, so if you have a malfunction in there and you have excess water going in, the fish are going to drown.
Okay, all right, no problem. Enjoy. Not drowning per se, is drowning per what? What is it?
Sir, it's like suffocation.
It's like suffocation.
Like when the water enters the
gill?
Yeah, like that.
Okay, so what is suffocation? No, talk to me, because I asked a question if a fish can drown. And I'm hearing, no, sir, got the fish, they make for that. And then Mikey say, yeah, man. And then you're saying, not drowning per se, but what is happening? If it is that their gill becomes malfunction, is it that they're drowning? I don't know. Talk to me. Maybe we're using the word loosely, but talk to me.
Yes, sir. I think that's the case. I think we're using the word loosely. Drown. Yeah.
Yeah. Because what I just explained is exactly what is happening. There are sections in our ocean that is heavily carbonized, and at some parts, the depth alone, you can only find some types of fish there, but other types of fish you can't find there. They don't exist there. So, for example, you hear some fisherman will say to you that they go catch some red snapper, and the red snapper you only occur X amount of feet deep in the ocean. You'll never find them surface. So how you can catch those is deep sea diving, where you catch them by spear. You can't use net catch them, the fish there. Right? And as I said before, when you move up to the upper level, you'll find that there are sections of the ocean that is highly carbonized, where you have precipitates falling out, where it is that these barnacles and these conchs and so forth, you know, it's heavy, so you're not going to have as much oxygen, so you are depriving the aquatic plants and animals of oxygen, because you do have photosynthesis, as Rodriguez says, that pretty much the life form that occurs on land also occurs in water. So you have photosynthesis taking place in the ocean. And if it is that you don't have the sunlight going down there, the aquatic plants cannot photosynthesize, cannot produce oxygen for the plants, for the aquatic animals. So they will die. They will die. So it now comes back to how it is. We don't want this thing to happen, this mass extinction. So that's why we are now trying to take care of the environment. One may say it is too late, sir. All right. So it says here that the geologic timescale grew out of a necessity, organizing the immensity of geologic time and correlating geologic event on a worldwide scale. No one person or expert committee proposed the geologic timescale used today. It grew by trial and error through the efforts of numerous geologists working independently. And that's why we have a problem, because guess what? If you remember I said something about, I think I used like 48, but there's no 48 right here. So when I go and I find the evidence, and I will go to like the USGS, the United States Geological Association, USGS, or USAGS, yeah, but United States Geological Association, and I can say here the plan, a group of geology students in Jamaica, in the southern part, were able to find this fossil, and we did our calculation. They are going to want to look at the fossil themselves, and then we have a lot of geologists right across the world who will have an interest. And this is how the timescale comes, because they may say, we've never seen this fossil before. This fossil is the first time we have it on record. The geological timescale is going to be amended. So it is an amalgamation of many geologists. So it's no one person or an expert committee. It grows out of trial and error through the efforts of numerous geologists working independently. Right? Today, the recognition of formal subdivision of geologic time is determined by international committees. So we won't just go to the USGS, but we can go to the Geological Society of Jamaica to say, whoops, guess what? We found something. And then now we may say, pass it through one of the professors at the university, and they say, no, I'm having a hard time identifying this fossil. I really cannot tell you what this fossil is. And what they may do is send something to one of the other associations, and they say, I don't know, I can't identify this, I really don't know what it is. And after several consultations, they may come and say, no, this may have lived in the Mesozoic period, because for sure we have gathered everything in the Cenozoic period and we are not seeing something like this. What is the estimation of the calculation? And they calculate it and they say, wow, it is about 70 million years ago. They say, yeah man, it is from the Cretaceous period, coming out of the Mesozoic era. So it's an amalgamation of many geological societies globally that brings this sort of time scale together, right? And one may say, but sir, how can I trust that within the Triassic we're going to have the first dinosaurs coming up? We just have to trust the process, because they would have done radiometric dating on these fossils that they found of these dinosaurs, and they would have found the skeleton and were able to put them together, which is why in some museum you can have a replica of what one of those dinosaurs, and they have many of them around us. Well, you know, you name them, what they look like, and they can say, you know what, this one was within this particular period, the Cretaceous, or they didn't have any of the Cretaceous, because they're saying that you had a massive extinction of those before the Cretaceous period, right? But in the Jurassic period, you may have the dinosaurs diverse and abundant, and the extinction of those reptiles would have taken between the Jurassic and the Triassic period, right? So it is rather interesting when you look at and we have to trust the process. You and I can't regenerate the time scale here. We have to trust the process that these persons who would have gone ahead of us would have done some work, and then it's for you now to contribute by looking at the new stuff that you would have that you find in life now, you know, as fossilized stuff, that you can do your analysis to say, here the plan, we are going to place this particular fossil in this particular period of time. Any questions so far? Anything that jumps out at you? Any ideas running through your headspace?
As it relates to the time scale, I'm just wondering, do you think that after the what's the last era?
The Quaternary period? If there's going to be another period?
Yeah.
That's an excellent question. That's an excellent question, because from I was studying, we are told that we are in that period, we are in the Quaternary period. Who to tell? That's a question that I can't answer, Rodriguez, honestly, because things are emerging, meaning that people are still discovering new creatures. You know, sometimes I'll see in social media reptiles, aquatic reptiles, you know, coming out, and they say, whoa, what is this? We've never seen this before. So I really, you know, evolution, I really can't tell you, you know, when we are 90 years old, if something is going to really come up to say, I don't know, you tell me. It is, as we agreed that there are life forms on land that exist in the ocean that are yet to be discovered. They are yet to be discovered. Really, it's really it continues to evolve. It is not static. Remember, you know, remember this point up here that where is it? It says that the geologic timescale grew out of necessity, organizing the you know, different things, correlating geologic events on a worldwide scale. So as I said before, let us go back to mineralogy. We may say to you that, and Mr. Walder's excellent at mineralogy. He can pick up something and say, this is magnetite, or this is obsidian, or this is that. He's excellent at mineralogy. All right. Sometimes we'll sit and have conversation. We say, Waldo, let's go get some sample. Waldo, what is this? He say, no man, Sean, this is it. We say, all right, cool, excellent at mineralogy. But guess what? I can tell you that he may go into other parts of the world and see something that looks like something that we have here in Jamaica, but the makeup, the mineralogy of it is different, because it's a vast array of minerals that we have. And remember, some minerals may be unique to different parts of the world, right? So like, for example, the geology of Jamaica could look like the geology of Cuba in some aspects. So they're saying that at some point in time we were one, and then over time we broke off into different islands. And if you look at the breakup of if you look at these smaller islands to the east of the map, chances are in the Mesozoic period it could have been one country, but because of geologic events, they are broken up into fragmented countries. Because when you look at the geology of Cuba, Hispaniola, Jamaica, there are similarities of the geology. So some people are saying that we were part of one central unit, but at some point in time we broke off. So it's the question. To answer your question, sir, I can't give you anything definitive to say, nope, this is a final stop, because we are going to have things evolving. Am I clear?
Yes, sir, I understand.
Man, you're going to have things evolving, man. And also, remember, if we go back to biology, people graft a Bombay mango with an East Indian mango to get a new type of mango, so to speak. Are you with me?
Yes, sir. Or you can mix, I think, apple and banana or something.
You see the point I'm making? So I am saying this to say to you that things continue to evolve. People may mix an orange with a mango and to manage. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Tangerine and orange to make mandarin.
And to get mandarin. You see what I'm saying? So these things are evolving. Is a guinep and a lychee from the same family? Who to tell? So in answering your question, Rodriguez, is things are evolving. People are doing things that, I can say to you a couple of years from now, we may come across a fruit that we've never seen before. Because talk about the coronavirus. In 100 years, we're having this global pandemic, this pandemic that has taken so many lives, right? Because of something that, in my view, was done in a lab, similar to the grafting of these fruits in a lab. Right? So, and also, just saw on social media the other day, there was two different types of fish. One to me looks like a black snapper, and one like a swordfish, but it was like a gold swordfish. And I'm very aware these things really interest me. And what I saw the guys doing is literally squeezing the egg from the belly of the fish, putting it from both fish, putting it into one container, mixing together, and using inverter fertilization, incubating it, and guess what? A new type of fish is born. When you look at it, it now has features of both types of fish. So now you're going to have a new type of fish that comes in that may share the same DNA of something, but nobody would have seen this type before. So I'm saying this to say to you again that things continue to evolve. Things really continue to evolve. And as more as man becomes more au fait with science and with more technologies, you would expect more of these things to happen. More of these things to happen. You talk about hydroponics. You talk about using, infusing, different types of plants to, for it to become more potent. So you may have a plant that is very good for high blood pressure, and you may have two different plants very good for high blood pressure, and you decide that you will infuse those to come to give you another plant that is going to give you something else. I mean, it evolves. So my thinking is that who to tell? It is very possible that it can happen. Any other questions? Anything that comes to mind? Remember, it's a concept, it's an idea. So when I'm reading your essay, and if you're writing and you speak about the Pleistocene age, and then somebody talk about the Holocene, I can't mark you wrong, because both of them fall within the Quaternary age group. It depends on the time frame that you're using that may move it from the Holocene to the Pleistocene. So it's just for you to have an idea, and somebody may come and say the Pliocene, I'm using the Pliocene because I got 3 million years when I did my calculation. And you may say the Pliocene, and I may say to myself, okay, fine, it still falls in the Cenozoic period, era. So who to tell? The calculations may be off or on, but it just gives you an idea for what it is that you need to do. And let me just come again to this point. For me, understanding this, as I said before, is what we had at Ariel. I never had them wonderful notes over this side. Mine was black and white. It more looked like the one that I projected. But when you're writing your essays, you have to, make mention of the different era that some of the things, depending on the question. And then I will go through some question types with you and give you some sample answers so it is that you can see how and what it is that I'm expecting of you. It's just for you to have an appreciation of the different era, an appreciation of the different period, an appreciation of the different epoch, and an appreciation of the calculation. You notice I went through the calculation with you. I am going through the epoch with you. I'm going through the period. I'm going through the era, and I'm giving you some ideas of the different types of life forms that existed within that particular period. I also made reference to the Jurassic. So why are you talking about the Jurassic? Because they had a movie about the Jurassic Park. What they talk about in Jurassic Park, a dinosaur. Yeah, dinosaur. But guess what? It is saying that the first sign of dinosaur took place in the Triassic. So the movie, if you look at it, really speak about the Mesozoic period, right? That tries to bring back those things that happened years ago back to real life, and I guess this would have been as a result of the geologists worldwide, they're trying to keep geology alive, so which is why they have things like this taking place, right? Any other questions? I'm hoping that. I was going to say to you students that when I'm explaining all of this and we're having conversations, I'm recognizing some students. Their silence is rather deafening. I'm hoping that you're actually making connections and you're seeing how this could possibly work, so that when you are now reading on your own, you can have a greater appreciation when somebody finds a fossil, how it is that they're going to actually put an age to it. One can say, radiometric dating. You get an idea of that age. You calculate it in millions of years, and then you compare to the geological time scale to see that this thing came in the the Devonian age period, or the Mississippian period, or the Pennsylvanian period, or the Permian period. These are things that we need to know. When you look at volcanoes, you have different types of volcano. You have different types of pyroclastic flow. So they have different types, and each type constitute, different damages, what can happen. You can have plumes of smoke in the atmosphere. So you can have no-fly zone, because once them little minute particles get into the engines of the aircraft, what is going to happen? The plane is going to go down. There's going to be no chance of life thereafter, right? So it comes into, it's a beautiful area that encompasses all the other areas that we can think about. Any other question? Go ahead.
Calculations, please.
Yeah, man. I said I'm gonna send job, man. Give me. All right. So let me just explain this. I have a couple of minutes. Let me just explain this again, Dowdy. So I'm gonna be sending out something to you in your WhatsApp between tonight, early tomorrow morning, because I have to prepare. I am going to be moderating at the conference, and I have not even started that level of preparation. I was just trying to get your grades out. Trying to make some calls today. I'm gonna send you the document, but I'm not going to send you the raw document as it is. I am going to abbreviate it and send it in the file that I would have done like I did the last time. It's just that my system shut down and I lost that information, so I have to now go regenerate. Not the one that I sent you. I had done up some more for you, and I lost that information, so I have to go and regenerate it. I'm going to send you that information. I'm going to also send you the time scales that I projected in class, both of them, the one before and this one. And I'm also going to be sending you something that I want you to work on for me in different groups. I was saying to you that I'm going to a conference tomorrow morning, God's willing, all the way out into Montego Bay. We should be coming back up on Wednesday, just overnighting, and I cannot tell you if I'll be in commute at 5 o'clock. If I'm not in commute at 5 o'clock, I'll definitely have the session just like what we're having here, and I can, have more conversations with you. But if it is that I'm going to be in commute, what I want to do is to give you two concepts to look at. And I want a grouping of students to present on one concept, and another grouping of students to present on the other concept. And we're going to have I may give you, say for example, an hour. I'll listen and we'll have conversations, but the talking is not going to be mainly on my part because I may very well be in commute. All right. So that's what I was saying to you. So all of that is going to be sorted out. I'm going to send you information on to you, so you don't have to worry. Sorry, I'm just checking the chat to see if, yeah, man. So yes, Marshall, I'm going to send you this stuff. So fret not, and Dowden asking for the same stuff. So I'm going to send it off to you. Are there any other questions?
Sir, it's not really a question. It's about what you said about when they brought up about the mermaid and what you said about the ocean. Like, it wouldn't be a surprise to me if they were real, because the ocean is such a, as you say, it's such a deep and it's such a big place that you can just imagine the type of organisms that live there that have yet to be discovered by us. And sometimes I can just imagine like how different they would be, how different they would look from your normal organisms you already know of, like your whale and your shark and your little turtle, and you can just imagine how different they would be. It just have me wondering, sir. Simple as that.
No, talk truth and talk serious truth. We don't know. We here studying something on paper. We can't definitively say that this does not. I can't tell you. I cannot tell you if it is that. And you notice you have mermaid shows and
yes, ma'am. Interest been around long. Not even now, but it's been around before. It's been around a lot, sir.
Okay, so Dodie is asking what is MYA. Can somebody tell her what is MYA, please? Hello, what is MA?
Millions of years.
Good, and MYA is the same, million of years. So they use MA and sometimes they use the MYA. Billion years. And the GA is billion years. Yeah, man, it is. Rodriguez asked a question, you see, Karel, and it is, I cannot definitively say to you, I can't definitively answer him and say no, because, you know, I'll be speaking as someone who is ignorant, and I am yet to hear somebody say, it does not exist, because guess what? And this is why I remember the first class, I was having a conversation about volcanologist, and somebody would say, somebody in the class, I don't know if it was Mikey or Baz, said that, no man, yeah, I don't love to do something like that. And I'm saying, right, I was saying to each his own, but guess what? Why I'm saying to each his own, guys? Because there has to be somebody out there who is going to do the stuff so we can have the data.
Oh, sorry, with the volcano.
Mm-hmm. Say it again?
It was Spaz that was saying, the volcano, like to be person that examine the volcano while it's active.
You're breaking up. Say that last part again, hon. Yeah, I hear what you said, but
So you hear me?
I'm hearing you now. Go ahead.
Spaz that said it want to like be there in action when the volcano is erupting.
Oh yeah. And Mikey too said that, you know, he would also like to, and I'm saying, you know, you guys, to each his own. But the truth is, you have some people who, Jesus, something just came to mind. Storm chasers. Is storm chaser the name?
Yes, sir.
I would love to do that as well.
Pause. I'm in a put you out.
Some dream job now, you know, man.
Pause.
Right at Texas.
Rodriguez.
Tornado Alley. Yes, sir.
I'm going to put you out of my class. You're too risky. I'm
from a little bit more under that, you know, sir.
Listen to me. You are a fierce young man. You are a fierce young man. Now imagine your teacher, I see one tornado will lift up trailer that full, you know, one trailer, you know, trailer that are heavy, and they took me and lift it up, and you want me to run towards that? Negative.
Yes, sir.
Sir, that means say you not go discover none of the animals them then.
And guess what? I will teach about it and then send you guys out to go discover it. Right? By the way, Claudine, you got the answer to that question? Sorry, I didn't ask if you got it. Good. Yeah, but Karel, it's true, you know, it is, you'll have people who will have to go down it. And when I see some storm chasers who, you know, them sit down and it's like they don't have nothing to do, and them here say, tornado, and the man then get excited. It's like the man them a plate of oxtail and bean and rice and peas and vegetable. The man then get excited. And the man them jumping in the summer and they're running towards the storm, because now it is that they want to test the wind strength, they want to do this, and it gives a lot of information, because it will say to you that never have they experienced the strength of this tornado, and it puts things in their geological data. You know, it is very important and very necessary, and I love it. I love the idea that you have people out there who are willing to put their lives at risk, so it is that they can make discoveries, so it is that you and I can study it and be awed by what is happening. All right, I'm going to end here. Well, we will end here. It's 9:02. I am going to definitely, before I send out this stuff, I am going to be looking at what it is that I want you guys to work on in groups. Now, hear me out in 2 minutes. It's not going to be a graded piece. I am giving this to you because I don't want to give up these 2 hours on Wednesday. And I just want you guys to come together as a group and to research an area, to come to class to teach. And you're teaching as if you are the teacher for the day, and the rest of you who will be listening should be able to be learning from what is happening from each group. So we're going to be doing some team teaching with the presentation. I'll give you more information on it as soon as I can I take a breather from this class and get the stuff done up? I have to, because I will need to give you from tonight so that you can use tomorrow to just browse the net and just to get information. You may want to take something from the textbook or whatever else it is, so it is that you can come on Wednesday to have a good presentation. All right, guys?
Yes, sir.
Bless you. Have a good one.
All right, sir, no problem.
Take care.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man, take care.